Hello, beautiful souls. Thank you so much for being here with me. My name is Roya Allegra. I really hope the lighting and microphone becomes seamless and you guys can hear and see me okay. It's my first time using my camera in this way, even though I've had it for some years now. And today I want to speak about the void. As much as I wish to be a little fairy light worker of love and always reminiscing in the juicy, pleasurable, sensual aspects of life, I do truly feel connected to the joy and bliss states that I can reach to. However, I truly do feel there's this eminence of shadow energy that has gotten me here. So my candles are burning, the birds are chirping, and I have some tea to sit down with you and just have a chat about what it means to cater to the void and how to dance in fluidity with the void. I'm drinking peppermint tea and I put some little blue lotus inside of it. And I have really been on a expansive high for some months now. And of course, with every expansion and celebration and time of wonder and playfulness, we are eventually going to contract a bit and constrict. And this time it feels like I'm meeting the void for the first time. As somebody who has experienced a lot of traumatic events in their life, I oftentimes forget about the void. As we experience these joyful moments, I feel so encaptivated in the present moment that it's just really easy to forget about this kind of hollow, empty energy that a lot of mental regressions and traumatic life events can inhibit you with. Or rather, I am speaking on this to show you that it doesn't necessarily need to inhibit you. That is the point. I won't get into my story today, but I will say I am a walking, living, breathing miracle that I am still on this planet. I feel like spiritually and scientifically, it's like really hard to believe that I made it this far. And that's why I want to be my own muse of inspiration, that I am here, I am living, and I am free, I'm joyful. And of course, there's going to be lulls in life. There is going to be this solemn, melancholic energy. And oftentimes we can call this depression, we can call it the shadow realm, we can call it what can be viewed as emptiness. But I think because of the journey that I have carried through up until this point, I have been able to approach this void space with a curious mind. Because it's so easy to anchor in the suffering and essentially cater to it. It's very easy to loop yourself into this suffering, to overeat, to escape, to reach out and distract and feel it, right? This is what so many of us, including myself, have really allowed our lives to be revolved around, is filling this void. And so as I approach it with a curious mind, I have, instead of viewed it as this negative sorrow aching in my soul, I'm seeing it as this sense of wonder. Like the bardo, the space in between life, the space in between death. Here we are, somewhere in the middle, floating on this rock, this planet called Earth, right? And not being so constricted in the suffering, rather approaching it with curiosity. What are you trying to tell me? And how can I be with you? How can I dance with this void? And of course, the densities of the sadness and the lull get to me. I am human, and I think it was just a time to revisit my essentially dark experiences and give myself flowers and love and nurturing for all that, not for just what I've been through, but for who I am as a person. Like, it is funny that I oftentimes gravitate towards art and creativity when I'm in this lull. Definitely deeply desire to overspill this creative energy that comes, that is inspired by my sadness, into my daily life, like into my expression of life, the ceremony of life. And so it got me thinking a lot of my connections in life. And it got me thinking of how I feel, and not even feel, in a way, I am more alone than I have been in certain aspects. I have shed a lot of connections that weren't benefiting this part of my journey, which is frightening, especially to somebody who has really clung on to my friendships as my family, because I did not have a close relation with any of my family growing up. So my friends were my soul family. They were everything. They probably will continue to be in the new connections that are formed in the future. Just because you carry the same void as someone, it doesn't necessarily mean that you carry the same light. That connection, it may be an amplification of your void rather than an intertwining of your light. And another element of it is, just because you connect to someone through the void doesn't mean you can reach them through the light. And this really saddened my heart in a lot of ways, because I do feel it's true. I think that that's essentially what toxic relationships are, is that you are, again, connecting through each other's voids rather than being able to really amplify your heart energy, because you're on some level probably both emotionally disconnected in some way. Whether you're avoidant, attached, whatever, it's all kind of the same thing. Like, maybe not completely, but essentially you have been drawn to somebody that can't truly fulfill your heart's needs because you are playing out the rhythm and the dance of the infinite void that is your sadness and or your emptiness. Like, whether that void came from your trauma, or if that void was just some mysterious essence you've never been able to really captivate properly, that has controlled you in a lot of areas of your life, it doesn't really matter. The void is still there. That space and echo-ness of infinite incapability of being filled. It doesn't have the capability to be filled, is what I'm trying to say. If you're trying to fill it with other people who are creating the reality out of their void space rather than creating their reality out of their heart space, you're both not going to truly meet each other, because it's like you guys are here and the void is like all in between you guys. Like it can't really reach you. And I guess this is what people would call karmic soulmates, which I think can even be friendships too. I don't think they necessarily have to be lovers. I think that you can have karmic soul ties with any kind of connection. And how can you approach this with deeper love? That is the journey, right? That is the ultimate expansion journey, is not necessarily to get rid of the void and fix it all right completely in your wholeness. You're emanating your aura and every aspect of your reality. It's also to be able to show up with worthiness of nurturing yourself through the void, because we can't always control how we feel every day and what comes up for us, but we can control how we feel worthy of showing up to fill yourself with wholeness, right? I think part of what helps me feel more curious about the void is understanding that it's not me, and I can fairly separate myself now from that looming energy. I can conceptualize the separation of like, okay, this is where my density is at today. I don't feel super light and airy and fairy and on top of the world. I feel thick in my bones and heavy in my heart, and just accepting it and not trying to fill it. And of course, I am on this expansion journey with you, whoever is watching. I'm not claiming to be someone that is like wholeheartedly healed. This is why I wanted to create this content, because I think a lot of the times we view people online as like they're the end all be all of where I want to go. But I think it's also good to find connections and people that, while we're still implementing, not trying to put somebody in any kind of hierarchy of spirituality. Like we're just all on this existing path of transforming ourselves, because we've all realized that while there is nothing innately wrong with us, we still want to grow deeper in love with ourselves and our life. Because even when you think you can cap at your capacity for love, life and God and the universe is always showing how you can be even more deeper in love with life. And that is truly the most beautiful aspect of existence. A lot of our shadow self wants to remain in the fight or flight, frozen energy, like stiffness, kind of just not in your enhanced fluidity, right? So it's super easy to confine and constrict your layers, and of course blame it on the void. Like, I'm definitely 100% someone who's done this in my life. Is, well, I'm in bed because I'm depressed, and I'm depressed because I'm in bed. So like, when is it going to end? Like, what is the other side? And that's where empathy, of course, for yourself has to come into play, of not shaming yourself, but also lovingly nudging yourself into a more structured discipline. And the journey of discipline is one that I'm definitely still on. I don't have a solid foundation of structure as deeply as I desire. This is what I'm working towards to achieve. Within those bounds of discipline is truly how you recognize your worthiness and your shadow at the same time, actually. A lot of the elements of the shadow that can prohibit you to be in discipline is just like that kind of what's the point energy of like not fully guaranteed that doing my creative outlets is going to snap me out of this mood. Still holding your own hand through implementing those hobbies and practices and ceremonies for yourself. Like, yeah, of course, in your sadness and wallowing and depression, you're not going to feel like doing it. You're not going to feel like doing really anything. And even after doing it, again, it's not going to fully guarantee that you're transformed out of your depression, right? Or your sadness. And I think the part of discipline that is so important, being able to create a seamless reality. And by seamless, I don't mean like autopilot in the sense of checking out mentally and just driving through life. I do mean like just deeper sense of easefulness in your life. Just certain things that may seem small, but when you are living with a disordered mind from like trauma or an overactive nervous system, it's really easy to become unorganized and disheveled in your house and your schedule and your life. So even though it seems like generic advice, like keeping things orderly as much as you can really does create a deeper sense of quietness in your mind. So I know, again, when you're sad and depressed, like this is not so easy to do, but when you do have those higher points of embodiment and awareness and presence, to create little pockets of seamlessness in your life. Like, how can I make things more easy for the future me? Even just small things in my room, in my routine, in my home, like keeping things a bit more harmonious in your living space and keeping things in a more cohesive mannerism around me is going to inspire me more deeply, even if I don't feel like I'm having the best day. So some of this was a little bit more heady, and some of this was a little bit more practical ways of managing the void. Of course, this is still scratching the surface, and there's so much more to be said, but sending you so much love, and thank you for joining me today.